Hello everyone and welcome back to Callsign Charlie Models. It is time for another inbox review, and today you get to see my lovely face to begin with because this box is so large that it won't fit on my workbench. So we have to start off like this, and what we are doing today is the 1/200 scale USS Arizona from Trumpeter, and I have the box upside down. Let's flip her around right here. And as you can see, backing out, I'm trying to get it all on camera right there. Absolutely lovely box art. The USS Arizona, as we know, was sunk on December 7th, 1941 during the attacks on Pearl Harbor, and the last surviving survivor was buried back on April 1st, or interned on April 1st of 2024. Lieutenant Commander Lou Conter was his name. So I'm going to get down to the workbench. We're going to get everything set up, and then we're going to start looking at all the instructions, decals, and plastic included in this kit. So I'll see you guys in 1 second. Alright, so we're back down at the workbench, starting off with the instructions. And the USS Arizona, like I said earlier, sunk down in Pearl Harbor. Still a monument down there, and it's one of the things that is on my bucket list to go down there and see. Sadly, I was a East Coast sailor when I was in the Navy and the Coast Guard, so I never got to do the passing honors for the Arizona. But going down there is something that is definitely on my bucket list. I hope to do one day. Onto the kit, we're going off with the instructions, starting off, and we have the typical Trumpeter paper booklet, open booklet type deal, with the instructions all black and white. We have a little thing about read before assembly right here, and our little symbols, or a legend of symbols that we're going to be seeing throughout the build. We open it up, and then we have our sprue callouts with all the sprues right here. It looks like there are going to be a ton of sprues with this kit. I think there's over 1,000 parts in this kit right here, if I can remember correctly from the box. So starting off, we're getting our shafts and everything put into the bottom hull right here, and then we're moving on. We're going to be getting our upper deck put on with our forecastle and our poop deck on there, and then we have our anchor and guns and a few other details going on through there. Then we have our catapult. We have a crane going right there, another crane, and then we have our guns, our main guns going together. And then we have our motor boats, or Liberty boats, right here. We have a couple different options. We have a 40-foot, a 26-foot, and a 30-foot boat. And then we're working on some more of the superstructure, starting off back in here. And then we are adding our smokestacks, getting those put together. Then more of the mast and some of the decks that go onto that. More mast work going through here. As you can see, a couple pages of that. Then we're working on more of our superstructure, going through right there. Again, more superstructure work and mast work going together. Continue on. Looks like we're going to have a good amount of photo etch with this kit. Then we're getting our chocks and bits and everything attached to our main deck right here. Continuing on, we have our Wildcats going on. Those are our anchor chains, where our anchor chains feed through. And then more odds and ends going on to the front forecastle right here, or the front deck. And then moving on right through here, as you can see, just a lot of little details being added on. Then we're going to start building up right here. We're going to be adding in our 5-inch guns. Then we're adding in our center deck, getting that all added in. Some more PE getting added. Some more 5-inch guns being added to here. You can see a lot of pieces going on. And then we're adding in our mast and our main superstructure and smokestack. Then we're having all of our boats and main guns going on, our cranes and catapults going on. And then lastly, we have our chain, our anchors, our kingfishers going on. Looks like we have two different kingfishers going together right here. And that's it for the instructions. Alright, so moving on to our paint callouts first. We have this marking guide right here. Our paint reference for colors are Vallejo, Model Master, Tamiya, and Humbrol. As you can see here, it looks like it's going to be a dark gray over the hull red. We'll have to do some research and see how correct those colors are, because we have the red tops to the main guns as well. Flip it over and we have another one with the same color scheme. Let's see if there's a difference. I am not seeing a difference between the two. Okay, so this one doesn't have the red tops on the main guns, and then the reverse side does. That's the one main difference I am seeing. I am not seeing anything else, and I don't know about the history behind this on when the red tops for the main guns were. Was this on December 7th, or was this prior to December 7th? When would we be looking time frame wise with the red tops versus the non-red tops? So if you can tell me down in the comments, that would be much appreciated. Right here, and it looks like we have the US flag and the Union Jack for decals, and a few other decals that we'll be going through here in just a second. Alright, so starting off with our decals, right here we have all of our pennants right here that we want to, if you want to add the full decoration on the ship, you can do that. So we have all of our pennants right here. They all look like they are correct. Yankee, see, Foxtrot, yep, correct. Alright, from what I can tell from my memory, they do look correct on here for that. And then on our next one, we have the Union Jack, our Admiral's flags, and the US flags. We have flat or waving. And then we have decals for our Kingfishers right here, and our waterline marks, and all that going on. So they should be okay with that. Alright, so starting off with the plastic parts right here, getting you zoomed in a little bit more. This looks to be our forecastle area, and the wood planking detail on it looks okay. I'm sure there are aftermarket sets for the aftermarket wood decks, which I will probably be looking into getting when I build this kit. But from what I can see, all the other detail on here does look fairly nice on that. On the reverse side, you're not going to see any of this. It looks like we have some anchor points for some screws or something like that. They're going to go in there as well. Alright, same thing with our aft deck. It looks like wood planking. It does look like it's all in line. It doesn't look like it's staggered, so that could be an issue right there. That's the one issue that I am seeing right here. It doesn't look like it's staggered or anything like that, so that might be an issue. I'll have to check my references to see if that is accurate or not. There's that. Alright, up next we have our main deck. Same thing with the planking going on right here. It's all in line. We do have some sprue connectors to cut off and clean up right in here. I'm not sure on if that's going to affect the fit, but everything else with the detail wise looks okay. The plastic is nice and thick and sturdy, and you're going to have plenty of connection points on the underside, as you can see right here. Alright, moving on to our next box, we have a bunch, I think this is our crane work, our lattice work for our cranes, and a bunch of other photo etch pieces. Photo etch for this actually seems, compared to typical Trumpeter photo etch, actually feels like a a decent thickness on this. And then we have another photo etch fret, 2 photo etch frets with hand railing going on through here, as you can see. Same thing with the thickness, all looks okay. A little bit of a bend on that, but fix that rather easily. I'm gonna have to watch some videos on hints and tricks to do photo etch railings on ships, because the last time I tried it I completely botched it up. Up next we have a bag with some screws and then some rods, it looks like, and then our anchor chain right in here as well. Then we have another set of metal gun barrels for our main guns. We have 12 guns, so that'll work out. 3 per gun, 4 guns. And the barrels are hollowed out, so that's nice. Okay, so we have our first double sprue. It has one of our 40-foot boats right here. The detail on that boat actually looks pretty nice. You can even see the handrails in here molded in. We have the hull for that as well with the propeller, and the detail on that looks okay as well. There is a little bit of flash on the sprues, not too bad. Quick cleanup with the hobby knife and you should be good to go. And a couple of the little sprue ejector nubs or injection nubs going on right here that you'll have to clean up as well. The chocks, they also look pretty nice as well. Like I said, you get 2 of these sprues. Alright, so up next we have our mast detail. Not much going on here. As you can see on this side, we do have a lot of ejector pin marks on this piece right here. I'm not sure on how much of that is going to be visible or how much we're going to have to clean up, but on these 3 pieces we do have a lot of ejector pin nubs or holes right there that are definitely going to need to be cleaned up. And then covered up by the styrofoam, trying to see what's in it, we have some, looks like some pretty delicate parts covered up from there as well. Alright, so up next we have another double sprue with our 26 and 30-foot Liberty boats. From what I can see, the detail on them is pretty nice. The hulls are in one piece, so you don't have to worry about joining the halves on that. And then the top sides of them, on the top is nice and smooth. The underside, yes, we do have ejector pin marks, but you're not going to see any of that. So yeah, those should paint up and weather pretty nice. Alright, so up next we have the sprue with our smokestacks or our funnel and some other parts. Get zoomed out a little bit more. Alright, so from what I'm seeing on here, we have our rudder as well. The rudder is very thick. I'm not seeing any issues with ejector pin marks yet on this side. And we have what looks to be our crow's nest and such going on. Flip it over to the other side. Oh yes, we do have a couple of ejector pin marks on the bottom side of here. Again, not sure on how much of that you're going to be able to see. On the rudder, it's nice and smooth, no issues with that. And then on the inside of the smokestack, we do have some ejector pin marks. Some of them are right at the top, so you probably have to clean those up. But other than that, should be okay. Alright, so up next we have another sprue. This is another double one. Looks like we're having some of our gun components going through here. Alright, up next we have our main gun sprues. We get 4 of these sprues right here, and you can see the canvas detail on them. They look okay. The 3D printed ones are out, and those do look a lot better than what these offer, but straight out of the box they do look okay. As for the main gun, you do have some nice raised bolt detail on through there and some ladder detail. I'm not sure if there's going to be some photo etch that goes over that, or there might be photo etch sets to help detail that up as well. As you can see what little ladder detail there is right there. Alright, up next we have a sprue with some of our gun embankments. It looks like some of our bulkheads going through there. some nice vented detail, some nice detail going on the side. We have our fire hose that's painted on the side there. Again, I'm sure you can get some 3D printed ones that will look a lot better, but for straight out of the box, you do have that detail as well put in there. And we also have some bolt detail going on right in here that's fairly nice as well. Alright, up next we have some more deck detail going on, or deck pieces. There's not really much detail to any of these pieces really. We got our portholes right here. Might get some clear styrene or acetate to fill in the back of those just to give that window look right there. And we have some hatch detail molded into there. Looks okay. Not great, but not bad for that. And yeah, on the reverse side of this, ejector pins, but I'm not sure on how much of this stuff you're going to be able to see right here. Alright, up next we have our crane detail going on. Crane looks okay. The catapult detail also looks okay. I mean, straight out of the box, the detail is okay. Typical of Trumpeter, they are a good starting off point. Now, I do know I did do some aftermarket shopping and window shopping, let me say. And there are plenty of 3D printed and aftermarket sets available for this. 3D printed cranes, 3D printed catapults, and such going on. I might look into getting those. I am not 100% sure yet, but we'll have to see. But straight out of the box, the detail on this is actually pretty good. There's some nice bolt detail on the catapult right here. Not much detail on the top on the skid, but you're also going to have the Kingfisher sitting on top of that. So, and all the other parts, the gooseneck, got a couple goosenecks right here. I'm not sure if this one is a short shot or what is going on, because that one is a lot shorter. We'll have to see. Alright, you can see here some more detail parts. Looks like for our crane and some gun nest stuff right here. Let's see. This is also another double sprue. Alright, so now we have some more bulkhead and deck pieces right here. Not sure what these pieces are for. And then we have another couple mast pieces right here. They are one piece, they're not in halves. So all you'll have is a nice little ghost seam that you'll just need to scrape down real quick. And then yeah, so that's everything for that piece. Again, the same level of detail on these hatches, which isn't much. On the reverse side is flat, so you'll be able to sand those down and then replace those with 3D printed ones if you choose as well. Alright, so moving on to our next box and our next sprues. We have two sprues of clear with our Kingfisher parts right here, with our floats, wing floats, engine cowl, and prop going on right here. They look okay. Definitely going to have a top and bottom to our, and halves to our bottom float. And I am not seeing, oh there it is, top half right here. Again, pretty nice detail, especially for 1/200. You're not going to be able to see a lot of detail on there, but those look alright. A couple other clear sprues with parts. I'm sure these are for searchlights or whatever going on right there. Then we have our 5-inch guns. 5-inch gun barrels right here. They are drilled out as well, so that is nice. And one piece, so you're not going to have to worry about seam lines. You're just going to have to worry about the connection point with the sprue right there. And you get two of those sprues. Now up next we have a black plastic sprue with our props, and the props actually do look really nice. They are a little bit textured, but they are actually pretty thin. No, I'm sorry. Looking at it from the side, they are blocked off and thick, so definitely going to be looking into some aftermarket 3D printed ones of these, because you could sand down and do all the knife edging of these, but I'm just going to go with the 3D printed ones on that. Alright, up next we get 4 sprues of Ship's Company. They are the rubber type sprue. And the detail on the figures is okay. They all have their Dixie cups on, which if you're underway you don't have a Dixie cup on, so that's one issue, but that is just being nitpicky right there. I definitely will not be using these figures. Alright, and up next we have our 2 crow's nest houses right here. Detail on those are okay as well, not much to them. And then we have another one right here. Again, I think I'm going to take some styrene, clear styrene, and back that, and then maybe fill it up with some UV resin as well, just to give that window look instead of just a blank piece of plastic there. Alright, so I have saved the best part for last, and that is our main hull, main deck and everything. And as you can see here, I have the camera all the way up on the jig and zoomed up all the way, and it still does not fit on the camera in the frame right here. But going off to the side, we do have a separate lower half and bottom half. If I can get it separated, pop it off maybe, or maybe not, we'll have to see. There we go. Alright, so we have the bottom, which is separate, and as you just saw, the fit on it is actually pretty tight. Now we are going to have some cleanup to do right in here, and some other little scratches and such, and some mold lines right through here. As soon as I can get you on camera right there. Alright, so yeah, we do have some mold lines that we're going to need to clean up. Just a quick light sand should take care of those, hopefully. It is molded in the red, so you wouldn't have to paint it, but with doing the corrections and the fixing to some of the mold issues with this, definitely going to need to repaint it anyways. So there's the bottom half of the hull. Now we have the top half right here. The same thing with the wood planking. It is all in line, and then also we do have some raised mold lines right in here. I'm going to zoom back in. Hopefully you guys can see it on the camera. There we go. Yeah, you can see, definitely see this. So definitely going to need to do some cleanup right here, and they're all over the place right here. Zoom back in. They're here, 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 and here on this deck. So I'm not sure if that is a location point for something going on in there or what, but that's what we're dealing with on that. Then you move on to the back side. We have plenty of holes for all the other odds and ends that are going to be going on there, and again, wood planking. And then on the sides we have our portholes. They are hollowed out a little bit or recessed a little bit, but still gonna go in there, and I might drill them out. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but we'll have to see when it comes to that time. We also have a mold line right on the bow right here that we're gonna have to take care of. So a good amount of work to do for surface prep on this kit. But from what I saw of the fit between the lower and the upper hull, it does look like it's going to be a very nice fit. Just a little bit of cleanup to do. And I have seen some of these built up, and they do look rather spectacular when they are all built up and done and painted and everything. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this one as well. Then I'm going to get this back together real quick. As you saw earlier, it does come with a bunch of screws and everything to help secure the top and bottom halves and a few other pieces on. And for a question of how big this thing is, once I find my tape measure, which I just saw. Alright, so the length of this thing from bow to stern is 36 inches, pretty much on the dot right there. And then for his beam is almost 6 inches right there for our total length and our beam. And I won't be able to tell you how tall it is. The one thing that I did see missing was a rigging diagram. That would have been something nice to have. If you guys know of a rigging diagram that's online, if you can put that down in the comments so I can use that for when I do my build on this. But as you can see, that join line between the two, straight out of the box, no glue included, actually looks pretty darn good right there. So yeah. Alright, so that's all I got for today's inbox review of this. And this is only the 4th ship kit that I have in my collection, and I'm really looking forward to growing my ship collection more, with some more historic ships as well. But other than that, that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below, hit the bell button for notifications of when I post future videos. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.